Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Jenna Conde and I'm a Senior Lecturer in Digital Society with the School of Social Sciences at Western Sydney University. And part of my role is to create curriculum around digital research and examining digital society. And it's really good today because we have a researcher from the Institute of Culture and Society and the Young and Resilient Research Centre at Western Sydney University, Dr. Teresa Swist. And she is going to talk to us about various things. But the theme of what we're going to discuss is around rewriting research for a datafied society. We live in a world now where there's tons of data. And how do we work with that? How do we make sense of it? And what kinds of data are available to us? And what does it represent and mean? So hi, Teresa.
Oh, hi, Jenna. It's a pleasure to be here.
So one of the things that we're talking about today is a data journeys approach. So this is something that's resonated with you. It's work from Bates, Lynn, and Goodale, 2016, Big Data and Society. So what attracts you to this idea, this notion of being a researcher as being on a data journey?
This concept really resonated with me in terms of that they highlight this concept in terms of really pushing back against this idea of data as being static or inert. They're really interested in exploring how data moves across different sites of practice. So they look at three sort of areas: how data is made or constituted, but then also how it moves. And in the movement from one side of practice to another, there's a process which causes a bit of friction as well. And then that also leads to some sort of change. And it really highlights the ways in which, highlights the value of really understanding how data is embedded and immersed in social and cultural life, and that we really need to understand the different contexts in which data is produced, the ways in which data is valued, and what implications that has for us as researchers in the design of our research projects.
Okay, so one of their things is around being a traveller in digital spaces, is that right? And then sort of almost but those digital spaces are moving as well in the way that data is managed and collected and maintained.
Yeah, and I really like sort of this idea of the travelling and the movement, and this understanding that there's no one set path or road, and this idea that being open to this idea that sometimes there might be unexpected or unplanned encounters as well. The example they give in their paper is where they look at meteorological data, and how that becomes reused in terms of understanding climate change, but also financial markets as well. So this idea of data journey really shows how data might be produced by a particular person or an organisation. For example, a young person might post a photo on Instagram to share a particular event, but then that is also moved, and there's a process of translation when the Instagram platform, they obviously see that post, and their incentive is to monetize that and to trace your data, and then to on-sell that data to third-party providers. So it sort of shows how there's a range of different actors and organizations who are involved in how data is produced and valued in different ways. And there's a lot of different stakeholders and beneficiaries.
Yeah, right. So it's sort of making you think about all the things that we do online creates data, and that data might be used in different ways by different people. And I suppose one of those groups of people that are looking at this kind of data, like Instagram posts or things on any range of platforms are researchers like us. And so, yeah, this sort of idea of trying to find data that answers the kinds of research questions that we've got is in there as well, in that sort of journey, or I guess adventures across the web.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's that process of sort of having sort of maybe a plan or a trip in mind, the landscape, but coming back to, there's no actually set rules or path for you to follow. There's maybe understandings of what best practice are, or examples of different ways of doing this type of research, but it is actually unfolding at a rapid pace because of all the new different types of data, and also the new types of stakeholders and organisations who are involved. So it's actually a very unique and interesting time to be a researcher, when the amount of data is increasing at such a rapid pace, and our understandings of how to best utilise and leverage that data for particular types of research is still not fully understood.
So I guess people that are interested in digital research and becoming digital researchers have to make their own way.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of being a bit reflexive and responding to the given circumstances and the context. Yeah, and really being sort of mindful of how they approach the data and the research design of their study, and that there are sort of no set rules or paths, that it is sort of an unfolding journey, which can be daunting, but it's also exciting. But there's also a lot of ethical implications that we need to think of along the way.
That's great. So the data journeys approach is quite a nice way to think about the self as a researcher, but also the kinds of journeys that we're on, and the kinds of the journey of the data as well.
Oh, definitely. And how it moves and travels, not just across different spaces or sites of practices, but over time as well, because the scale of the data and how it can be reused and repurposed in different ways is changing all the time.